What's up, Shady Spotlight fam? Get ready to dive into the headlines that are sparking conversations and shaking up the culture. The news cycle never sleeps, and neither do we. We're bringing you the absolute latest, the most talked about moments that you absolutely cannot afford to miss. From shocking statements from iconic figures to major cultural debates igniting across the globe, we've got the inside scoop. You think you've heard it all? Think again. We're kicking things off with a legendary artist, dropping some serious truth bombs about his recent movie experiences that have everyone talking. Then, we're heading down under where a major sporting event is facing controversy over its choice of headline act, and the debate is getting seriously heated. We've got the details on why this booking has one senator calling for major changes. And that's not all. We're also tracking the ripple effects of a popular animated film that's at the center of a surprising cultural discussion, leaving parents and kids alike with big questions. Plus, we've got a deep dive into the fallout and reactions to these stories that are shaping our world. You don't want to miss a second of this. Stick around, hit that subscribe button, ring that notification bell, and let's get into it. Iconic rapper shares movie theater surprise. This story dives into a recent revelation from a globally recognized music legend about an unexpected experience at the movies that left him questioning family-friendly content. It touches on a broader discussion about representation in media and the conversations it sparks. Snoop Dogg, the legendary rapper, recently shared his candid thoughts on the challenges of taking his grandchildren to see animated films, specifically referencing Pixar's 2022 Lightyear. During an appearance on the It's Giving podcast, Snoop expressed a newfound apprehension about movie-going, stating, "I'm scared to go to the movies." This sentiment stems from an experience where his grandson posed a direct question about a same-sex couple featured in the film. The animated movie, a spin-off of the beloved Toy Story franchise, included a montage depicting a same-sex couple raising a child, a moment that Snoop felt unprepared to navigate with his young grandchild. They're like, "She had a baby with another woman." Well, my grandson in the middle of the movie is like, "Papa Snoop, how she have a baby with a woman? She's a woman," Snoop recounted. This unexpected line of questioning caught the rapper off guard, leading him to reflect on the content being presented to children. "I didn't come in for this shit. I just came to watch the goddamn movie," he admitted, highlighting his intention to simply enjoy the film rather than engage in complex discussions about family structures. The experience, he explained, fucked me up and left him feeling bewildered. "Y'all throwing me in the middle of shit that I don't have an answer for. It threw me for a loop. I'm like, what part of the movie was this? These are kids. We have to show that at this age. They're going to ask questions. I don't have the answer." The Lightyear film made headlines for its inclusion of one of Disney and Pixar's most prominent LGBTQ+ characters and its depiction of a same-sex kiss, which had initially been considered for removal by the studio before employees advocated for its reinstatement. Chris Evans, who voiced the titular character, had previously commented on the importance of such representation, stating, "The goal is that we can get to a point where it is the norm, and that this doesn't have to be some uncharted waters, that eventually this is just the way it is." The public reaction to Snoop's comments has been varied, with some expressing solidarity with his position on age-appropriate content, while others have criticized his remarks as homophobic and out of touch, particularly given his own past artistic expressions. The conversation continues to highlight the ongoing societal dialogue surrounding representation in children's media. But the ripple effects of this particular film are far from over. Next up, we're heading to Australia, where a major sporting event is facing its own controversy over a headline performer. Cultural clash over music star's performance. This story details a significant debate erupting in Australia regarding the inclusion of a major international music artist as the headline act for a premier sporting event. It explores the clash between artistic freedom, cultural values, and the responsibilities of national institutions. A prominent Greens senator in Australia has voiced strong opposition to Snoop Dogg performing at the upcoming AFL Grand Final, calling for the Australian Football League, AFL, to drop the iconic rapper. Senator Sarah Hanson-Young has argued that Snoop Dogg's history, which she characterizes as containing misogyny and homophobia, makes him an unsuitable choice for the nation's biggest sporting event. The AFL had announced Snoop Dogg as the headliner for the 2025 Toyota AFL Grand Finals pre-game entertainment, a move initially hailed as a significant booking that would follow in the footsteps of previous international stars like Katy Perry and Robbie Williams. AFL CEO Andrew Dillon had expressed enthusiasm for the booking, stating that Snoop Dogg is a pioneer, a performer, and a true entertainer who fits the brief for an unforgettable celebration of culture, energy, and entertainment. However, the decision has been met with considerable backlash. Senator Hanson-Young specifically questioned the AFL's decision to pay a significant sum, reportedly $2 million, to an international artist when she believes homegrown Australian talent should be prioritized. Why is it that the AFL is bringing in an international artist, a slur merchant, paying them $2 million, rather than backing Aussie talent? She asked, emphasizing that cultural institutions should support local artists. A key point of contention for Senator Hanson-Young is the perceived hypocrisy in the AFL's decision, especially in light of recent disciplinary actions taken against players for similar conduct. She pointed to the case of Adelaide Crows forward Isaac Rankine, who received a suspension for using a homophobic slur. The irony is not lost on many of us that while Isaac Rankine gets dumped, Snoop Dogg gets $2 million to play his misogynistic, homophobic music on our turf, she stated. This comparison highlights the senator's view that the AFL is not applying its standards consistently. She urged the AFL to reconsider the booking, suggesting that the recent public outcry over homophobia and misogyny should influence their decision, and that an Australian artist should be chosen instead. The controversy is further fueled by Snoop Dogg's recent comments on the It's Giving podcast, where he discussed his discomfort with LGBTQ+ representation in the Disney film Lightyear, describing the experience as having threw me for a loop. These remarks have amplified calls for his removal, with critics arguing that his statements are inconsistent with the inclusive values the AFL should promote. AFL CEO Dillon, however, defended the booking, stating that the league cannot vouch for every lyric in every song, and that the pre-match entertainment will be family-friendly and consistent with the audience. He also highlighted Snoop Dogg's personal evolution, noting his current role as a grandfather and philanthropist, and his past successful performances at major events like the Super Bowl and the Olympic closing ceremony, asserting that his grand final performance will be appropriate. This debate over representation and accountability is far from settled. Meanwhile, we're looking at the broader impact of that animated film that started this whole conversation. Grandfather's Dilemma: Navigating Kids' Films. This story explores a prominent artist's candid admission about being caught off guard by the inclusion of LGBTQ+ themes in a children's movie, sparking a wider discussion on parental guidance and media content for young audiences. Legendary hip-hop artist Snoop Dogg has revealed that he feels a sense of apprehension when taking his grandchildren to the cinema following an experience with the Pixar film Lightyear. The rapper, whose real name is Calvin Cortazar Broadus Jr., shared on the It's Giving podcast that the animated movie's depiction of a same-sex couple raising a child prompted questions from his grandson that he found difficult to answer. Snoop Dogg recounted the moment his grandson, upon seeing a montage where two mothers are raising a child, asked, "Papa Snoop, how she have a baby with a woman? She's a woman." This question visibly unsettled the rapper, who admitted, "Oh shit, I didn't come in for this shit. I just came to watch the goddamn movie." He further elaborated on the impact of the experience, stating, "It fucked me up." He expressed feeling scared to go to the movies because he believes such content forces him into situations where he doesn't have the answers for his grandchildren. "Y'all throwing me in the middle of shit that I don't have an answer for? It threw me for a loop. I'm like, what part of the movie was this? These are kids. We have to show that at this age. They're going to ask questions. I don't have the answer." Snoop Dogg humorously added that he was just there to go to sleep and watch the movie. But the situation woke me up. The film Lightyear, released in 2022, featured a same-sex kiss and the portrayal of a same-sex couple raising a child. These elements led to the film being banned in several countries, including Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Malaysia, and the United Arab Emirates after Disney, Pixar's parent company, refused to remove the scenes. The public reaction to Snoop Dogg's comments has been mixed. Social media users have expressed a range of opinions, with some criticizing his remarks as homophobic and hypocritical, particularly referencing his past involvement in the LGBTQ-themed series, The L Word. Others have defended his position, arguing that his concerns are valid regarding age appropriateness and the role of parents in introducing sensitive topics to children. Critics have pointed out the perceived disconnect between his current stance and his past artistic choices, with one blogger noting a pattern of public figures embracing queer proximity until it becomes too much or too personal. The discussion surrounding Snoop Dogg's comments highlights the ongoing societal debate about the presence and nature of LGBTQ+ representation in children's media and the varying perspectives on how these topics should be presented to young audiences. His candid remarks have certainly stirred the pot, and the conversation isn't slowing down. Now, let's see how these sentiments are playing out on the international stage, specifically in Australia. Senator Slam slur merchant, Snoop Dogg booking. This story focuses on a political figure's strong condemnation of a major music artist's booking for a high-profile sporting event, citing past controversial behavior and advocating for local talent. A Green senator in Australia has publicly called for the Australian Football League, AFL, to cancel the planned performance of American rapper Snoop Dogg at the upcoming 2025 Toyota AFL Grand Final. Senator Sarah Hanson-Young has strongly criticized the decision, labeling Snoop Dogg a slur merchant, and arguing that his history of alleged misogyny and homophobia should have disqualified him from performing at such a significant national event. The AFL had announced Snoop Dogg as the main musical act for the pre-game entertainment, a move intended to elevate the event's cultural appeal, following in the footsteps of previous international headliners. AFL CEO Andrew Dillon had praised Snoop Dogg as a pioneer, a performer, and a true entertainer who would contribute to an unforgettable celebration of culture, energy, and entertainment. However, Senator Hanson-Young has voiced significant opposition, questioning the substantial payment reportedly made to Snoop Dogg, estimated at $2 million, while suggesting that Australian artists should be supported instead. Why is it that the AFL is bringing in an international artist, a slur merchant, paying them $2 million rather than backing Aussie talent? She questioned in the Senate, emphasizing the importance of investing in the domestic music industry. A core part of her argument is the perceived inconsistency in the AFL's stance on behavior, drawing a parallel with the recent suspension of Adelaide Crows player Isaac Rankine for using a homophobic slur. The irony is not lost on many of us that while Isaac Rankine gets dumped, Snoop Dogg gets $2 million to play his misogynistic, homophobic music on our turf, she stated, highlighting what she sees as a double standard. The senator urged the AFL to reconsider the booking, citing recent public outrage concerning homophobia and misogyny, and advocating for an Australian artist to take the stage. Adding fuel to the controversy are Snoop Dogg's recent comments made on the It's Giving podcast, where he expressed discomfort with LGBTQ+ representation in the Disney film Lightyear, describing the experience as having threw me for a loop. These remarks have intensified the calls for his removal from the AFL Grand Final lineup. In defense of the booking, AFL CEO Dillon stated that the league cannot vouch for every lyric in every song, and assured that the pre-match entertainment would be family-friendly and consistent with the audience. He also pointed to Snoop Dogg's current positive public image as a grandfather, philanthropist, and his successful performances at major global events like the Super Bowl and the Olympic closing ceremony, suggesting his performance would be appropriate and well-received. This controversy highlights the delicate balance between international appeal and local values. We've covered a lot of ground today, from movie moments to music controversies. Make sure you stay tuned for our full breakdown. All right, everyone, that's a wrap on today's Shady Spotlight. We heard Snoop Dogg's candid take on kids' movies, controversy swirling around Snoop Dogg's AFL Grand Final gig, and the ongoing impact of representation in animation. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to Shady Spotlight for all your unfiltered news, Hit that notification bell so you never miss an update. Drop a comment below with your thoughts on today's stories, and follow us on all social media platforms for more behind-the-scenes content. We'll see you next time.